Okay, folks, so is Fife a buyer's or seller's property market? So it's an ever-changing world of the Fife property market, and in terms of buyer's market or a seller's market, and these are phrases that are basically bandied about all the time. Good evening to everybody on Instagram and also as well on TikTok and Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn as well, and Twitter. So good evening to you all. So we're going to be talking about this. I mean, I get asked this question all the time: is Fife a buyer's or a seller's property market? So I thought I'd put something together, and then I would go over it in a bit of detail, maybe add a bit of information on it. If you want to ask questions, please feel free to ask questions as well. It will be a wee while, so I've got a cup of tea here just in case. And then we'll go through it. So, as I said, the ever-changing world of the property market, especially Fife itself, in terms of a buyer's market, in terms of seller's market, are phrases that are bandied about all the time. These property market conditions can significantly impact your ability to buy or sell a property in Fife, regardless of which side of the fence you find yourself on. So, as an estate agent in Fife, I'm going to provide you with a detailed analysis of the Fife property market to find out if we are in a buyer's or a seller's market, and offer valuable tips to navigate you through successfully through this market. Additionally, I will actually shed light as well on the lesser known market conditions called a balanced market. So let's delve deep into the nuances of these markets and equip you with the knowledge to make informed decisions on buying and selling in Fife itself. So first of all, I get asked this all the time. So what is actually a buyer's market? It may seem obvious, but for some people, they just don't want to ask because they don't know and they feel embarrassed to do that. So let's go over some of the key terms here. What is a buyer's market? Well, a buyer's market occurs when the number of Fife homes available for sale exceed the number of potential buyers. In this scenario, the buyer holds the advantage as they have more choices and they can take time to make their decisions because they've got more choices. And they may even negotiate with sellers to secure more favourable prices. This is an ideal market for buyers as attractive deals are plentiful, while sellers face the challenge of standing out in a sea of properties for sale overall. So do you actually think we are actually in a buyer's market after I've said that? But then we come on to what is a seller's market? Well, conversely, a seller's market arises when there is high demand for homes than available inventory, in other words, available stock available for sale. And this creates a power shift in favour of sellers who can benefit from increased competition among buyers. Now, that's possibly the boom market we've just gone through now, definitely. In a seller's market, Fife properties tend to sell quickly, and often sellers receive multiple offers for these properties themselves, driving up the property prices. This market can be challenging for buyers overall, as they may face bidding wars and have limited negotiating power. So again, I ask you, are we in a seller's market? If that's the case. So let's introduce a balanced market. Apart from the buyers and the sellers markets, a balanced market exists where the number of people looking to sell the properties actually matches the number of potential buyers. In a balanced market, equilibrium is achieved, leading to stable prices overall, and a reasonable time frame for property sales themselves. The market conditions offer a fair playing field for both buyers and sellers, creating a more harmonious real estate environment overall. So let's go into understanding then the dynamics of supply and demand of Fife property. At the core of these property markets conditions lies the principle of simple economics, supply and demand. Fife home buyers have the upper hand when the supply of Fife homes surpasses the demand. Conversely, when demand outpaces supply, Fife house sellers hold the advantage, recognising that the property market you're in is crucial for making informed decisions. Regardless of whether you're a buyer or a seller, I'll say that again, recognising which property market you're in is crucial for making informed decisions, regardless of whether you're in a buyer or seller's market. So, I get asked this question all the time. What kind of property market is Fife in right now? Well, the best anyone can actually judge the market is to analyse the percentage of properties marked as sold, subject to concluded missives. So, subject to concluded missives and under offer in relation to total stock of properties in the market. Now, the reason I say that, subject to concluded missives, is because it's not been a concluded bargain yet. So there's a bit of negotiation to go on in between, just to dot the I's and cross the T's. Once that's done, a bargain is concluded, and therefore that's why it's called sold, subject to the concluded missives. Because once you've got concluded missives, you can't back out as a buyer or a seller. In other words, let's talk about that then. So under offer, so the number of properties on the market compared to the number of properties sold subject to concluded missives or under offer in the market. In other words, for example, if there were 500 properties on a market, both available and sold under to subject to offer, and 200 are sold subject to concluded contract, and 200 as a percentage of 500 is 40%. So there's your example there. That would be 40% of the market. Everyone can do this by searching property portals. It's quite a simplistic formula to do. For example, for Rightmove, Zoopla, and so basically what you can do is you can search for Fife by calculating it by asking the results for the sold subject to under offer, and then take the tick box off and take out without sold and take that as well. And then that'll give you the percentage of properties sold to the number of properties on the market. And then that'll work it out. So example for here, the designated property market states as follows. Here's how it gets defined. So if that percentage is 0 to 20%, it's an extreme buyer's market. It's a great buyer's market. Happy days are here again. Buyers are in favour, and they've got the upper hand completely if it's between 0 and 20%. If it's 21% to 29%, in other words, about 20 to 30%, it's a buyer's market. If it's 30 to 40%, it's a balanced market. If it's 41 to 49, it's a seller's market. If it's 50 to 59, it's a hot seller's market. And if it's 60% plus, it's an extreme seller's market. Now, based on what I've said, what do you think it is? Buyer's market, extreme buyer's market, balanced market, seller's market, hot seller's market? Who knows? But let's look at some of the numbers. This methodology is actually used widely as by many professional property traders, corporate asset managers, and developer part exchange providers to quickly assess the temperature of any local market itself. It offers a reliable and efficient measurement of the market heat, enabling informed individuals to select the right strategies and stay ahead of the market to achieve superior results. Now, the statistics have actually been sourced from the website The Advisory, which have calculated the market state stats for many years. So they've actually done all this for many, many years. They've got a huge amount of information and collation to these markets themselves overall about where it is. So I wanted to share them back in the summer of 2018, so you can actually see for yourself. So for the last 5 years, this is What are the statistics for Fife for the last 5 years up to now, June 2023? So here we go. You can see by this graph here that in June 2018, the number of properties, the percentage of properties, I'll just take that off the bottom there so you can see that. Just take that. There you go. The percentage of properties marked as sold, subject to under offer, in relation to the total stock of properties on the market, represented 54% in June 2018. In June 2019, it was 51%. In 2020, it was 48%. You can see how that is getting slowly when it goes to 2020. It's actually getting to the point where it's still in a seller's market, but it's coming down systematically. And then all of a sudden, pandemic kicks in, and then everybody runs for the hills. And then all of a sudden, everybody decides they need to live out in the countryside and they need another type of property. And then that's when the boom happens, up to 83%. That's an extreme seller's market, then down to 78, and then down to 68. We're still in an extreme seller's market in December 2022. When we move into March 2023, we're actually still in a hot seller's market. We're into May 2023, we're in a hot seller's market, and June 2023, we're still in a extreme hot seller's market. So that should give you a good idea about where we are right now in terms of the number of properties sold and under offer compared to the number of stock on the market. This is a benchmark. Now compare that to the rhetoric and the story that you're getting told right now in the media about a so-called property crash. How likely do you think that is based on that information right in front of you right there, which says this is the benchmark, 60% and above is still in an extreme seller's market? Do we actually still think this is a buyer's market? Is that the perception that's been given in the media overall itself? Now, of course, all this could change, so let me explain the both extremes for either market itself. Okay, so the tips for Fife home sellers in a buyer's market. So, Fife home sellers in a buyer's market, this is the type of thing you've got to look at. Selling a Fife property in the buyer's market can be actually quite daunting. But you can improve your chances of success with the right approach. And here's some valuable tips for your home sellers. Now, if you know anybody that's actually thinking about selling just now or thinking about buying just now, tag them in this post. They need to hear this. This is fact. This is not stuff made up on the news or on social media in order to get clickbait, to get you to click through to see adverts, which is what they're primarily selling. And that's why they put these clickbait titles in. So this is all fact for a start. So, and you can check that for yourself if you go to Zoopla, the number of properties for sale versus the number of properties actually sold, percentage-wise, and that'll give you a good benchmark based on the percentage I've just discussed just now, and that is industry standard. So let's again come back to that, about the tips for Fife home sellers in a buyer's market. The first one is be realistic in your asking price. If the Fife property market becomes a buyer's market, home sellers will need to understand the challenging market conditions and set competitive prices from the beginning. Overpricing will actually deter potential Fife buyers from even viewing and lead to your home being on the market for months rather than possibly the weeks you want it to be on. People will start to think there's something wrong with your home and dismiss it even more. Now, this is actually quite a common thing for a perception in the mind of some people to think the longer the house stays on the market, the more stale it is and the more it'll put people off. But you've got to remember, there's 20 people every single day that make a decision in Fife to buy and sell a property. So there's 20 new people coming in every single time. So while your house might seem stale to somebody that's been in the market for quite a long time looking for a property, maybe living in rented accommodation, it's quite possible that someone comes on that first day looking for a property as a buyer for the first time, and they see your property and think, it's just the one for me, because they've never seen it before. So that could combat that. But you will have a few people actually still staying in the market for quite a while. Generally, it's not how long you've been on the market when you get an offer. It's how long the buyer's been looking for a property is the more important thing. Because if they've been looking for quite a while and they make a confirmed offer, they're probably more than likely going to go ahead and transact that, and that deal will definitely go through. Because they've been waiting that long to have their dream house come up. And this is probably it, because they've now confirmed by making an offer. The next one for me, for the tips for home sellers in a buyer's market, is present your home at its best. In a competitive buyer's market, for example, making your property stand out is vital. Now, we've done lots and lots of top tips for this. And you can go into our YouTube channel on Fife Properties TV, look at our playlist. You could probably do a search as well and do top tips for selling my property in Fife, Fife Properties TV. And it'll come up on Google, more than likely. Consider staging your home. Here's some of the sound bites from it. Consider staging your home and completing any necessary repairs to make it more appealing to home buyers. That is probably key. Curb appeal every single time. It's the first thing everybody does. They don't actually ring the agent and they don't inquire about the property when they see it come on. They actually just go around and drive past the house. And if your house looks not very good from the outside, or the area looks not fantastic, and it's possibly not as they thought it was going to be, or not what's been projected on the property listing, then they'll probably never inquire, and you'll never know about that person ever, because you'll never know. So this is why it's important. Curb appeal is the most important thing. Again, type in curb appeal, top tips and 5 top tips for curb appeal, and 5 properties at the end of it, and it'll probably come up as another video or podcast. The third one for me is for Fife home sellers in a buyer's market is maximize your exposure. Now, effective marketing is crucial, particularly in a buyer's market, and digital marketing is probably key. Remember, most of you out there will be watching this on a mobile phone. Digital is everything. Most people spend 3 to 4 hours a day on this. This is why it's quite important. Whereas they don't spend that in the telly has now become the radio in the background as you play on your phone a game, an app, or something like that, or scroll on social media, or TikTok, or wherever it is you're looking at, or even listen to this, and at the same time, there's adverts appearing at the side. Well, there's adverts that appear in between that as well, and that's where we pop up. Targeting, digital media strategies, targeting the right people at the right time who are ready to go and possibly in a position to proceed, and possibly in a position to pay maybe a bit more of premium than somebody else can. And that is technically the person is typically usually time poor but cash rich. In other words, they've got the money to pay a bit more for your property, but they'll not necessarily go to a website to look for the property because they really don't have the time to do it because they're too busy working to get the money. But if it appears in front of them on a retargeting social media strategy on their phone, whether they like it or not, that's what will get their attention. And then you've got 0.3 of a second in that advert to catch their attention straight away. Hence the reason why we do talking pictures, which is what I'm doing right now, as opposing to show you pictures or a video and just put music on it. It's more engaging, it's more entertaining, and it keeps the other person's attention. Just exactly what I'm doing right here, right now. Could you imagine watching your favourite television programme, but instead of actually being able to watch on the television, I'll give you the photographs and I'll give you the script to read. What is the likelihood that everybody else watching that programme will actually continue just to look at the photographs and read the description or the script? Well, newsflash, that's exactly how estate agency is done today by most estate agents. You're getting photographs and descriptions. You're not getting a video. You're not getting a talk-up. You're getting nobody on the screen saying anything. You're getting what is effectively called a silent movie. You're getting a video and music. Makes you feel fantastic about your property as a seller because you know everything is to know about it. When you walk into that kitchen and you see it in a video with the music playing, you know where everything is in that kitchen. So it makes you feel great about your property being sold. but it tells the buyer nothing. Okay, so maximum exposure is actually crucial, particularly in a buyer's market. Collaborate closely with a reputable Fife estate agent with extensive knowledge and a strong marketing team to ensure maximum visibility for your property itself. I mean, gone are the days really of just putting your property on Rightmove and hoping for the best. That's just basically that's old. That's out of date information for just relying on Rightmove, because most people will jump to social media first before they go anywhere else, and that's where it is. You also have to have an agent. It's a good content creator. And what I mean by that is they produce lots of content, not necessarily on the subjects of property all the time, but engaging content so a community engages with it all the time in order for Google to rank you or your agent higher in the listings, because it's new content every single time. Google is effectively like a librarian. So when you walk into the library and ask them about what is the latest property in Cooper, they will give you the newest one. They won't give you an out-of-date one, maybe one that's 3 or 4 months ago. That's why it's important to keep refreshing content for your agent to do that. Hence the reason why we're putting out 600 pieces of content every single week, right across 16 or 17 social media channels, to keep Google active and engaged and rank us higher than any other agent in the area. To get your property seen, that's what it's all about. Fourth one for me, for sellers in a buyer's market, be prepared to negotiate on more than just pound notes. Price is not necessarily the only factor in negotiations. Buyers may also be open to discussing terms and conditions, like what you're leaving as fixtures and fittings, what the entry date is as well. So be flexible and willing to find a common ground. I often do this in most property listings, and when people say, "Oh, well, are you going to include my freestanding dishwasher or my washing machine or my, something else, or are you going to include the hot tub?" Because they don't want to take it with them. I'm like, no, don't include that. Okay, I can use it as a bargaining chip to keep your price point higher than it is right now, if I can use that later on. Whereas if you include it, even though it's not technically in the valuation of the property, because it can't be, because it's not a fixture of the property, then immediately you're giving away something for nothing, and you're not getting any added value, and the customer isn't feeling, the buyer doesn't feel like they're getting anything at all extra over and above, which is what everybody loves a good deal. That's an opportunity to do that. So common ground, that's the most important thing, to find a win-win situation for both a buyer and a seller. So what do we do for the tips for buyers in a Fife seller's market? Well, if you find yourself navigating a seller's market as a Fife buyer, these tips will actually help you improve your chances of securing the right property. So the first one is, more than likely, define your necessities. So what do I mean by that? It's, well, clearly understand your property needs and prioritize them. Be prepared to compromise on certain aspects to increase your chances of finding that suitable property. Remember, this is a buyer in a seller's market, so sometimes compromise is the word you'll have to get used to. The second one is, be friendly. Build a positive rapport and a relationship with the home sellers on the actual viewing itself. This can really work in your favor. First impressions can make a difference and can be the deciding factor whether somebody wants to let you have the property or someone else have the property if your two offers are similar. Act quickly. In a seller's market, hesitation can lead to missed opportunities. If you come across a property that meets your criteria, schedule a viewing promptly and be prepared to make an offer if it resonates with you. Straight away, just get in there and make the offer. Sometimes we actually say on a pre-portal, If you can make an offer the seller cannot refuse, it could be yours before it goes to any website. And definitely in a seller's market, that's the position you want to be in to take advantage of that. Make fair offers. While everyone wants a great deal, offering a reasonable price shows respect to the sellers and it increases your likelihood of your offer being considered overall. Listen, silly low offers are going to be dismissed in a competitive market and can sometimes actually offend the actual seller themselves. And you don't want to do that because then you'll definitely miss out on the property. I've seen it before where somebody's actually tried to lowball it and the decision's been made where the seller has said, I don't care under any circumstances, I am never going to sell that property to that person. They can afford to do that in a seller's market, not necessarily in a buyer's market though. But that's what a good estate agent is there to advise them of. Now, making a fair offer, it's a win-win situation for both parties. Now, why do I talk about that and why do I say that? Well, if you make a fair offer, this is what you need to do. It's the offer that you think making a fair offer will be if you, for example, made an offer and it was your best offer and it got knocked back and then someone else bought it at a wee bit higher than what you were going to offer and you'd thought to yourself, I would have paid that. Well, that was obviously the wrong offer in the first place. That's why you've got to make the right offer in the beginning. It's your no regrets offer. It's the price you want. Don't try and lowball it. Remember, you're going to stay in this house probably for about 5, maybe 10 years. And if you're going to stay in it for 5 or 10 years, a couple of thousand is not going to make any difference to that because over 5 years, a couple of thousand is basically another, what, £400 a month? A year? No, £400 a year. So another £400 a year to get your dream home for the next 5 years is probably a price worth paying. Plus the fact that's probably the true market value of the property you're actually getting. Therefore, you've locked in that value for your next move, and that will now give you an increase in order to move on to the next property, and it'll also accumulate in value over the next 5 years as well. So make a fair offer. That's important. The final one for me, for tips for a buyers in a Fife sellers market, is you've got to practice patience. Although speed's essential in the beginning, exercising patience is equally vital. Rushing into decision can result in great regret here. The right property will come along, so balancing acting swiftly and making informed choices is critical in this situation. So what do I mean by that? Well, when you think about the logic of this, you rush into a decision, you immediately make an offer, and then the estate agent takes it to the seller, and then a price is agreed, and you go, job done. The next day comes along, you think, oh my goodness, I ran into that too quick. I'm not very sure if this is the right property for me now. You pull out, and then that's it. You're more or less blacklisted with your estate agent from then on because your word is no longer your bond because you've just demonstrated in that. So sometimes if it's just not right, practice the patience of holding off because the next one will probably come along later on. So don't jump the gun because it will leave you with a reputation potentially. This is where it's key of understanding the dynamics of the buyers and sellers markets. It is essential for both buyers and sellers in the Fife property market overall. Now, by grasping these nuances of each market conditions and applying the appropriate strategies, you can actually maximize your chances of achieving your Fife property goals. Whether you find yourself in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or even a balanced market, adapting your approach and working closely with an experienced local agent will significantly enhance your chances of success in an ever-changing world of real estate. But let me leave you with one last thought here. Regardless of whether it's a buyer's or a seller's market, it's important to recognize the interconnected nature of these market conditions. A significant statistic to consider is that 81% of sellers are also buyers. This means that as you gain an advantage as a seller in a hot market, you may face challenges when transitioning to the buyer's side. Conversely, in a buyer's market where you have the upper hand as a buyer, you might encounter difficulties when even selling your own property. So it's crucial to understand this dynamic and plan accordingly, as the dynamics of the Fife property market are often a delicate balance between gaining and losing. And this holds true for both buyers and sellers overall. I mean, these are my thoughts, and take time if you want to share yours as well in the comments, or by replying later on, or if you want to message me direct. I'm more than happy to have a private conversation online as well. Okay, that's it, guys. Until next time, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV. Bye bye for now.